Appreciate it. And thanks to Rebecca from Rico for making this happen. Excited to share with you all. All right, I'm going to share my screen and I am going to stick in the browser mode because I'm going to pull up a lot of content and examples and whatnot to show you all. So yeah, like Jesse said, I'm Will Barrett, Director of Field Operations with Threshold 360. And a little bit about who we are. We're a SaaS platform and virtual tour provider serving the hospitality and tourism industries. I've got a lot of links to show and whatnot, so I'm going to pull up the notes here every once in a while. Yeah, I think what's a bit unique about us is that we're a platform and have built the Capture app and technology to make this go, but also have the creator community or our contracted photographers throughout North America that all use the Theta Z1 to capture content for our customers. And I'm going to get a bit more into that, of course. But to start here, just what the Theta does for us. So got a lot of examples and links and everything to pull up for you. We have our Capture app, which is an iOS app. And of course, our creators capture content with that. It goes through post-processing that we call connections, that our content development team and content QA team checks the content before it's ultimately published. It goes seamlessly into our customers' dashboards. Then they can, of course, publish it in a variety of ways, and we provide the ongoing support for that. So I'll get a little bit more into the details of everything that the Theta Z enables us to do. And I'm going to mention this a few times, but because the camera is so flexible, is so fast for us, and kind of integrates seamlessly with our software, that's really why we use it. It's the perfect solution for us.
Hey, Will.
Currently in.
Yeah. I said anyone get asked questions. I wanted to ask a question. You
got this. Okay.
You got the Z1 there. Is that pretty much what your creators use, or do they use other models as well?
We've used other models in the past, but we keep it very consistent across the field. So when we switch, we almost totally switch to a new unit. So we've used the various Theta models in the past, as well. But right now it's the Z1.
And it's an iOS app. Is it, you find that's what more popular? That's kind of what people use the most.
Well, it's for us. Yes, it hasn't presented too many blockers. We do have an Android app that we don't fully support, but that'll be a little bit later this year because it is getting to that point as our coverage expands. But just the iOS environment has been fine for us up to this point.
Yeah, great. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. And so our Capture app, in lieu of screen sharing my iPhone, I just made a quick video of kind of how our app works. Remote control capture, similar to a lot of the other apps I'm sure that you all have seen or used. And this is a little bit what it looks like. So our creators are using this out in the field again. They're contracted freelancers that work with us. They select all of their locations through a map. They can look up a location that they're looking for. I think in this little demo example, I select the church down the street from our office, which is here in beautiful Tampa, Florida. They select the customer they're capturing for, and I'll talk about who those people are. They select the capture type, which is really what location type is it. I selected test in this example. Sorry, this is going a bit fast, but the creator could name the tour, and I'll explain the difference between kind of tour and location in our worlds. That's, of course, me yesterday capturing with the Theta. You capture that first pano, of course, downloading to the phone, and then it's in our app. And I think I'm going to jump to a second pano here. We also call that scene at times, use those sort of interchangeably in our world. So I capture a second pano. Typically our creators at this point, it's captured, it's just processing, they're walking to their next photo position. And then they can drag and reorder the panos. We capture in a linear fashion, a linear capture path we call it. So that order is pretty important. So you could drag and drop those. Of course, it would normally only be 2 panos, but for the sake of this, I did. And then they would go and start their next, to create their next tour, which might be, a second level of a building or a back patio or what have you. And then that creates kind of that location record where those tours live. Again, all being captured by the Theta. They have a My Jobs tab, which is if we've assigned them a work order, which might be 50, 200, hundreds of locations. They can check that out. I, of course, don't have any. I haven't done that in quite a while. And that's a little bit about how our app works, not to take too much time here. But that's what all of our creators out in the field are using with the Z1. And like I said, it goes into post-processing. That's more or less automated, not too much to show you there. We call that connections. But in roughly 24 hours later, it is in our customers' dashboard. So who are our customers? Our core customers at this point in our venture are what are called destination marketing organizations or convention and visitors bureaus. Typically, if you're in North America, it's visit or destination or explore, then insert city region name. So there's sort of the local tourism arm of that region. So this is a local example to us, one of our first customers, of course, Visit Tampa Bay, where our HQ is. In their dashboard, they can see kind of a map view of all the content that they have access to. So they're licensing all of this and integrating it into their web properties in some way, shape, or form. That's a little bit how they can preview the content. They can go to this locations tab, which is really where the work is done, and kind of view all those virtual tours and publish it in a variety of ways. I'm going to click into one of my favorite spots right down the street from where I live in my neighborhood. And it's called Armature Works, kind of like a food hall. They could update the metadata. They could change that if anything has changed. They would go check out the virtual tours. And sort of our concept is location is essentially an address or a trip for our creators. So we would say Armature Works is a location, but it's comprised of many virtual tours that we kind of chop up to make it easier to access from a user perspective. And hopefully that'll make sense here in a second. So they could look at these virtual tours, of course, and this is the master or parent one. This is kind of how our viewer works with all those different tours and sets of panos living within it. They could jump to it anytime. They could share it easily through the share link and the native integrations with those social media platforms. They could pull the embed code for their website, blogs, what have you. They could download the MP4 video, which is kind of a scrolling version of our autoplay, which will make sense here in a minute. If they download that MP4, it makes it more shareable on various social media platforms, like if you're going to do an Instagram story, for example. So really publisher friendly and really meant to be used by larger marketing teams.
Well, this is Jesse again. So just so on one location, instead of sort of having one tour, this is a way of organizing the information, right? One location, exactly. But you might be a whole section on the backyard and the eatery out back, or different parts of the tour.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with larger spaces. I mean, we capture a lot of hotels, venues, attractions, multi-level museums, that sort of thing. So
gotcha.
What we've learned is that users don't love clicking endlessly 10 minutes to find something. They get lost with different branch paths and whatnot. We want to curate it and get them to the strike points that we call it, or the key visuals that sells the property. So it's really a kind of a MarTech tool.
I see. And I think later you talk maybe about some analytics, but that also would help that too. You can kind of tell the hotspots.
Precisely.
Right? Yeah. Wow. That's cool.
Yeah. And so, one way they're using it, and I actually made this earlier, like it takes 2 minutes for, say, someone on this marketing team at Visit Tampa Bay or a hotel group or a healthcare group, what have you, to create a custom share page, which is I created this one a little bit ago. I copy that link. And that becomes the share page that's maybe more curated, right? Where I've only included the Riverwalk entrance, this main entrance, and then the social hall, which is where their group is going to meet, and not the other 17 places. And then there's a call to action button over here, which I think I put in the Rico website, or how wherever they want to lead some of those leads or guests to. So those custom share pages are pretty key for these sales and marketing teams. And then there is location level analytics, where the views on the website, completions, Google views, because all of our content is automatically uploaded to Google as well without our customers doing anything. And that's kind of a big value we deliver to them because they're trying to report kind of that data to their stakeholders. And another tab over here is maps. I'm going to show a map example here on the next couple slides. So you'll see that. But this customer, for example, maybe has access to hundreds of locations. They're creating different maps for group proposals. Example might be, as you can see on here, the Super Bowl was here recently in Tampa, and typically a DMO or Convention and Visitors Bureau is submitting that proposal, 5 years ahead of time. But these interactive maps can really be helpful in that process, or for a lot of different kind of sales and marketing use cases. And then jumping to analytics tab, this is key to them. And this is the roll up or the aggregate of all the analytics, 30-day view, 60-day view, export a CSV reports, see the top kind of performing locations, if you will, check out the Google views. And that hits home big value to them, right? 250,000 views in the last 30 days of that one location is gonna add up over time. We give them some sense of the earned media value over there as well.
So Will, sorry, I think this analytics stuff is super interesting. So Google Street View, is that what you're saying, that it's sort of the same location information you can view in here?
Yeah, so everything we capture for our customers is automatically uploading to the Google My Business profile of that location, right? So, Armature Works, for example, if you search them, Google Search Maps, and come across that 360 imagery, that is us. We captured on behalf of our customer, so they kind of get the publishing credit, if you will.
Yep.
And get to let these partners know they've delivered this. This value to them.
Yeah, this seems fantastic.
Yeah,
I didn't realize it was so connected to Google Analytics.
Yeah, it's very key for what our customers are opting into. And then location level analytics, and then getting down to tour level or even pano level analytics, as well as you kind of jump up to different packages. But again, this is why a lot of locations makes sense in the context of a lot of locations or a lot of content. To get a lot of content, you need the right camera and the right software to make it go fast, right? If all of these were a day shoot, totally unsustainable, not scalable. Well, we have creators in our system that have captured hundreds, if not thousands of locations because of the ease of the tools. So that's the quick version of customer dashboard, what they see, how they're using the content. And then more examples of just kind of where that content goes in a live environment. So I'll pull up a listing page for this Convention and Visitors Bureau customer of ours, Naples Marco Island, down in Southwest Florida. That's a normal listing page they would have, and we're sort of enhancing that, right, and integrating with them seamlessly. So this is a hotel that we've captured for them. They probably got 100 plus of locations like this they have access to, and in some cases they've actually integrated well ahead of time of capture because of our CRM integrations and whatnot. So when we captured this location, it could have been live here, what you're seeing, in 24 hours later, if they've kind of done that on their side. Some of them wait till later down the road. It depends on their development, web agency schedule, what have you. But that is another really nice part. We make that a really easy on our customers. So
what happens during that 24 hours? What's going on the threshold 360 side?
Yeah, our post-processing process. So we call it connections, and that's connecting the panos together to make it navigable. And then our QA team is taking a look at it. So we have a content QA team who's actually still, looking at all of these, and that's really for creator feedback and support. So they're flagging locations for things they see that they don't love, maybe. That's going back in a report to our creators to hopefully, improve their process going forward.
Wow. So this is manually curated. and that informs, yeah, like you say, the curator networks of the
Yeah,
people that are you're using to build these
exactly.
tours. They get some sort of ratings or something like that internally.
Yeah, they get flagged by different, we've got 20 some odd different quality, QA codes we call them.
Yeah.
We mark it for common things that we see, and then we're doing monthly reviews of that. We have I'm going to get into that, but that's kind of where the community aspects come in, constantly going back and forth, and we want to help them improve regardless of kind of the industry or vertical they're working with. A lot of them are doing real estate capture as well, which we don't do, and if this helps them, great. We kind of play ball in that respect. So
I'm totally interested in hearing about these curators, but it sounds like you'll get to it, so
yeah.
I'll be quiet.
So this is the content, and just because I love it, again, the strike point idea, right? If I have a wedding, I want to get them right here as soon as possible and not click through the whole hotel for 10 minutes. And that just makes it easy on maybe the presenter or group sales leader, what have you.
Yeah.
And then we kind of, a la YouTube video style, hit them with that next experience to go into. So that's a typical listing page we'd integrate with. I showed a share page, so I won't spend too much time on that. Again, this autoplay function, which this aspect is automatic, goes so it appears like video. User can passively go forward. They can start and stop that. They can take control at any time. And I already showed you a share page, so you know what that is. But like you mentioned or asked a question, Jesse, this is the content on this exact same hotel that we just saw on that share page on Google. Of course, Google's going to maybe connect it or organize it a little bit differently. But all the content goes up there. That's where we garner those views. And then I think there's a map example here, which is personally my favorite feature that our customers are opting into. And from their perspective, doing group sales, bringing people to a whole destination and not just an individual location, they're creating maps like this, which is incredibly easy to do. You can add call to action buttons. I think they've got one here. Discover more unique spaces. That's going to go to that DMO website, of course. And a group can kind of see what's going on in the area and click into these places. So if I just, whether from the map or from here, it's going to pull up this tour right here. And there's a call to action button in there. It looks quite old. We can see it's dated a couple years ago. So that's one I might go, hey, let's recapture that one, right? And so there's a nice process for refreshing and whatnot. And these maps are really, really key for these sales and marketing teams to kind of sell larger groups to come to areas.
I would guess refreshing the content's actually a pretty regular, ongoing effort.
Very regular. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's really our customer's choice, but at a certain point, we kind of call it, so to speak, and say, hey, it's been a few years. We need to kind of push this one forward, and that's just included with their annual subscription to us.
I see.
And of course, ongoing support. And what I love is, we have an account management team working with our customers to use the platform consistently, included in their marketing campaigns. And what that results in is more capture, more refreshes, like you said, new campaigns. They're doing a beach week. Let's go capture the beaches. That translates to work for my creators, right? That's turned into work orders or jobs where they just get an email and say, hey, go capture this stuff on Thursday, with kind of an automated system behind that for payments and everything. So making their life really, really easy. And then I'm going to get into that. So kind of what we as Threshold Company platform do, and specifically my field operations team and the creators, how we work together. At the top, I'm just very proud of this. 100% of the HQ, our HQ field ops team, those curators, what we call content QA folks, and our content development managers, our project managers, our recruiters, trainers, were all creators themselves, right? So they were contracted photographers at one time. And that's really important for our culture, and obviously helps that community aspect with the existing creators out there as they just get started, when they see kind of what we've all built together. So thresholds, as a company platform, we recruit creators. We have projects sometimes in very rural markets where there's maybe not someone running around with a Theta. So we have a recruiting team. We equip them and actually, provide the equipment. We send them a creator activation package that includes the Theta Z1 currently, some other goodies and bells and whistles as well. And then we train them. They go through an online training course, which our LMS has been a little bit slow today, but I will show you that. So this is roughly a 2.5 to 3 hour online training course they go through. If they've captured before, fantastic, regardless of the experience level. Many of our creators have not. They might just be freelance photographers that are interested in getting into 360. I love that. It is kind of hard to teach an old dog new tricks in a way. But we work with a wide variety of people and experience level, and so and we capture in a pretty specific way, following that linear capture path and whatnot. So they go through this online training course for a few hours. From there, they submit test locations that QA team looks at and gives feedback, and then there's that ongoing conversation daily or weekly with them as they kind of get into production mode. And then, our support, so we provide the support, of course, through our help center, but also our Slack community is with them is pretty live and well. And we're going back and forth with them on that messaging app, constantly supporting them in the fields, whatever they may need, whether it's tech support or just, interacting at locations, what have you, as we do new releases or beta test stuff. What I like to say is we're very close to the problem, right? So if we're interested in learning something, I call the photographers who are capturing today. And that's how we test things. So content QA, like I mentioned, scheduling system that we facilitate. I will show you that really quick. So for our DMO or CBB partners, we want to make it very easy for them to get their partners, these hotels, on board. And so, hey, send them this link and tell them to sign up. Explains the program a bit. They go to schedule now. They would put in their zip code and state, and then it would pipe them to the creator in their, who covers their zip code. It would pipe them to their calendar where they can pick a day and time based on the creator's availability, which is fully controllable by the creator. And they select that day and time, and it's typically a 90-minute time block, and then put in their location information, point of contact, and what the shot list is as well, what they would like to see out of the experience. So that scheduling system we facilitate. Our scheduling coordinators are behind that as well. Again, they were all former creators. And then payments is automated thereafter, and that's again really facilitated through the Capture app. And because it's so easy to use with the Theta, they're tagging those locations properly, and we're tracking that. That really automates their payments coming to them the next week. So really is meant to be kind of served up on a silver platter to our creators, because we just want them capturing and interacting with locations and customers as much as possible. Then we project manage, of course, mapping out the larger projects with our customers. That translates to the work for our creators. And what do creators do? The photographers, they do not edit. They just capture and upload the content and deliver A+ service. We're big on that. I probably talk more about that with them than anything else. Collaborate really closely with us and our HQ team, like I said, beta testing things, figuring out better ways to capture, et cetera, and just really help each other. Again, that community aspects, the more seasoned creators are really supportive of the new folks jumping on. And
hey, Will, you talked about that, the training, the online training. Is there some sort of application process to become a creator? What's the sort of normal profile of a creator?
Normal profile of a creator is a freelance photographer, maybe doing 360 photography, maybe not. Maybe they're just doing real estate, standard photography, interested in the 360 thing. Yeah. Of course, freelancers are feast or famine. So adding at most. So adding something pretty consistent to their mix is very attractive. And so, yeah, freelance photographers with a creative and photography background, we've really geared around, okay, we'll teach you 360 and how to use these tools. Now, and frankly, I prioritize attitude, over everything. It's such a cliche, but I think as we scale, that's becomes increasingly more important. So we have recruiting coordinators that directly reach out to some folks if we're starting in a new market. A lot of times we already know people. Our creators are excellent at referring other freelancers they know. Hey, a friend in Denver would love to do this.
Yep.
And so that website there, threshold360.com/creator, shows we have a variety of open positions right now in new markets. So someone can apply through there.
Yeah, it seems just fantastic to have such a rigorous process and have all of this extended network. Just seems great.
I hope we've been doing something the last few years. So, okay. So our capture methods, and again, I mean, the camera really allows us to be this flexible, right? Because it's so fast and seamless, with our software. And it's very reliable, which may sound silly and kind of assumed, but for kind of our volume, we're really testing those things. I mean, overheating, battery life, what happens when you capture for 12 hours a day constantly. That's the kind of stuff that we're really looking for, not just the best kind of single pano or piece of imagery, if you will. The two photos above, one's outdated, but it is me, so I kept it in there, whatever. At the bottom, that's my back, but we don't use that handheld technique anymore. We use a monopod, but same basic idea. We hold it overhead. The reason we do that for speed, uneven ground, busy locations, there's a number of reasons that we've learned it makes sense. And we also limit the downward panability within the user experience, within the final product. So the person in the head is irrelevant. We don't worry about removing that stuff in the editing process. Our kind of take is that users aren't terribly interested looking directly at the ground beneath them. And again, all about speed for us. So we have the handheld, what we call handheld technique, and then the obvious kind of tripod technique, which I'm sure most people are used to shooting, and how those apply. So we really have kind of two capture methods, which is what we call scheduled. And that's that scheduling system I showed you, especially during COVID times. It's been a vast majority scheduled locations. We can implement the right protocols. And that's another thing, that was easy to get all of our creators on board with. All right, here's the contactless capture protocol we're now going to be following starting this date, which is still in place across all of our North American markets. So been a lot of scheduled locations the last 12 months or so. Those are booked directly to the creator's calendar. Those locations receive reminders and prep info leading up to it. It's just kind of taking care of that, get them ready. This is what's going to happen. It's not a film crew coming in. It's a single creator. Here's, what's going to happen on site. 90-minute appointment is our normal time slot. And most of the locations we capture fit within that. Sometimes, larger convention centers and whatnot would kind of break that. And that's, of course, scheduled as where we use that tripod capture. And it's still pretty fast, but it is slower than handheld, right? And then the handheld technique we apply when we capture what we call stop-by locations or stop-bys. And those are typically outdoor spaces, restaurants, bars, retail, small format locations. And in that case, we're working with our customers to send announcements to those locations ahead of time, letting them know, hey, this is what's going to happen because they've been opted into this program, right? And that's where we're proactively capturing. Hopefully they have some awareness. The handheld technique makes that go much faster because we don't have a scheduled appointment. Many of those might be less than 10 minutes. Some are state parks, right? And we didn't schedule with them, but it could take a whole day. So that is vary there, but a lot of them are kind of the restaurant retail category. And our creators have, badges and the collateral we provide, like leave behind cards and whatnot in that case. And of course, the advantage there is it's much faster. So that is our two capture methods. and then just, a little bit about kind of coverage and all that stuff, and what the camera has really enabled us to do. US and Canada active in roughly 40 markets. Some of them are building up quite well. 5 to maybe 10 creators active in those markets, capturing paid shoots daily. Some are very rural markets where there's one creator and we're keeping them busy. When one of our creators on active projects, they may have 4 or 5 appointments a day, which is really nice for them. And some of those stop by work orders where they're proactively capturing can range from 50 to 200 locations. We've done projects recently where it's just parks. We capture 50 parks for a destination marketing organization, which is really nice and a lot of fun from a creator perspective. And people really jump at that opportunity. And those, obviously would span over a couple months. But those work orders are facilitated through our Capture app and just kind of in a list form, so you can bounce to them pretty quickly. So on both, whether it's, stop bys or scheduled or what have you, the battery life and speed reliability of the camera is super essential to us. We haven't lost imagery in many years at this point, or had too many hiccups, frankly. So obviously very key when we're kind of aiming for the scale and speed that we're going for. And like I said, threshold360.com/creator is where you get more information on becoming a creator, open positions, all that good stuff. And I think that's what I have for you today.
That's fantastic. If we have any questions from the crowd, that's great. We had one that came in earlier, was actually about this last bit, the camera on site battery power. Is there a limit? You were talking about 90 minutes was sort of the standard appointment. So maybe for any one customer, they don't know, they don't care. 90 minutes is pretty much in and out, but is there a limit on your creators, the battery life, and how long you expect them to be out and around?
We've seen that the camera library has about a 2-hour battery life. I mean, obviously that depends on level of activity. Are they powering on, powering off?
Yeah.
Some different variables there. We would say 2 hours is a max. Like, don't test that. Right? You don't want that happening on site. Yeah. We also have a lot of creators that have developed different techniques, which is, tripod. You can, with a tripod extender to create that space, you can be plugged in on site. We have a lot of creators who do that. It looks a little funny. I don't love the way it looks, but it works.
And you said you erase the bottom part of the panorama, right?
Yep.
So just that is no real issue.
Yep, exactly.
For the creators, they're given a Theta as part of a kit.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's included in the kit that we provide. So when we bring them on, we do have creators who own their own Theta, which is fantastic. I would love to know you people out there. That's awesome. We've got the jobs, we've got the cameras.
Yeah.
But for a lot of the markets, they're new to this or don't have the Theta at least. So we're providing that within our what we call creator activation kits. And kind of has a few of those other bells and whistles like the tripod extender, etc. Our merch, stuff to make them feel good.
Yep.
And then once they receive that, they're triggered to start the online training course, and then talk to our project managers and stuff to get started.
Fantastic. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any more questions right now. That was a great overview, Will. I really appreciate it. So thank you very much.
This is Becky. I don't have a question, but I did want to say, that was great, very informative, really thorough. So great presentation.
Thanks, Becky. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Will. Well, I think this was going to be up on YouTube. We'll put it up there. So get some greater visibility for Threshold. This was fantastic. Thank you.
And thanks to everyone else on the call. I appreciate it very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, take care, everyone.
Take care.